Welcome, everybody. Good morning. Thank you so much for being here. It's wonderful to have so many people joining the meeting this morning. If you could put your name and your role in the chat, and also it would be wonderful if anybody wants to share any words of gratitude, anything you're thankful for this month. Go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat, and we can get to know who's in our virtual room here. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. All right. Oh, good. I see people introducing themselves in the chat. Thank you, everybody. If you haven't had a chance to do that, go ahead and say hello in the chat so we can know who's here. And we'll go ahead and get started with the meeting here in just a moment once Miko has a chance to let everybody join. Great. Hello, everybody. Thank you for introducing yourselves in the chat. If we haven't met, my name is Allison Lanier, and my role is Deputy Superintendent of Educational Services here in CUSD. So that means I support all of the schools with teaching and learning and health and mental health, and have a wonderful team here at the district office that helps me with that. And we're going to go ahead and get our slides up as soon as we get everybody in the room here. Want me to help you with that, Miko? So there we go. Okay, great. All right. So to kick us off, I just wanted to give a brief update on our district priorities since we talked about this last time. One of our district priorities this year is to focus on future-ready learning for our students. And so we've been talking a lot about our portrait of a CUSD learner and our core competencies. And hopefully you've been a part of some of these conversations either in this meeting or at your school site or even at our community roundtables. We've been having a series of community roundtables on this topic as well. And this is about making sure that our kids have everything they need to be successful now and into the future. So we've been talking about how we'll always maintain our focus on those state standards. The core academics will always be very critical and a focus here in CUSD. We've had a long legacy of academic excellence and a strong focus on those pieces. And as we think about this rapidly changing world, we know that our kids will continue to need those academic skills, and they will need additional durable transferable skills that will help them be prepared for the future. So we've been going through lots of activities and dialogue in the community roundtables as well as in our staff professional development to talk more about what that means. And we've been focusing on these competencies that were lifted up through community conversations over the last few years. So we are in a learning year for this. We are focused on talking with community and talking with staff about what these core competencies mean: critical thinking, global contributor, inspired creator, effective communicator, inclusive collaborator, resilient learner, and then that foundation of wellness. You might remember that I mentioned we started talking about this right before the pandemic when we were working on our strategic plan, and we have now refreshed this thinking and launched these 7 competencies all throughout the year on our learning days and in our staff meetings. Staff are digging into these, looking at resources locally and also from across the nation that help us think more about what we'd like to do for our students when we talk about future ready deeper learning. And so I wanted to say thank you to all the parents who attended our community roundtables and have been a part of this conversation. This will continue throughout this school year. We are in a learning year on these competencies this year. Oops, Miko. Lost the slide somewhere. Thank you. And you will hear more about it both at your site and at the district level. So we are going to share another topic with you today, and it is an update on what's happening with our middle school electives. This has been a priority for our board and our district management team, as well as for the school sites. We've been talking about how to give kids more opportunities in the area of electives at the middle school. And I'd like to welcome Amy Steele, who is one of our directors of student support services, and she's also former Miller and John Muir school principal, to help us get this update to you regarding our sixth grade program. So, welcome, Amy.
Great. Thank you so much, Allison. And good morning to all of the parents. It's really great to see your introductions in the chat and see sort of how you're representing across the district this morning. And we're able to come together in this forum to talk. And I know that I'm really excited to share with you about some of the shifts that we have planned for our sixth grade program next school year. And, on the heels of Allison kind of talking about our work around the Portrait of a Learner, we've been working on shifting our middle school schedules and aligning our work before we really started digging in deep to the Portrait of a Learner. But I think that when you look at our elective programs, you'll see that they really support all of those competencies. And so it's just helping us move forward in that direction. So I want to talk a little bit about where we've been. So Miko, if you can advance it, yeah, where we've been. So a colleague of mine, one of the directors here in Ed Services, Sarah Brown, has been working with the middle schools for a number of years. We've been focused on this set of board priorities that were discussed with the school board probably about a year and a half ago. And we have slowly been sort of tackling these different tasks and aligning our middle schools. So if you see at the bottom, we had to shift to an 8 a.m. start time. That was the result of a state law that passed that required secondary schools to shift their start time to accommodate students' sleep and prioritize student sleep. And so we were able to do that, and all of our middle schools now have a common start time. In that shift, we also looked really closely at offering equitable learning time, both for students in their courses and equitable planning time for teachers. Our middle schools do have some variations in their bell schedules, but student time spent in instruction is the same across the district in our middle schools. And we also were looking at bolstering our intervention and support programs for students throughout the course of the school day. Traditionally, many of our intervention programs were only offered during what was referred to as the zero period, or the very first period of the day. But in these shifts, we've been able to make sure that we offer math and reading and some sort of executive functioning support for students throughout the course of the school day. So our current focus is looking at this item that's in the big red circle, which is expanding our electives for our seventh and eighth graders, and also extending that to our sixth graders. This year, we have been able to expand our seventh and eighth grade electives at all of the middle schools. We have upwards of 80% of students taking 2 elective classes or a 7-period day. And looking into next year, we want to make sure that we offer a similar opportunity to our incoming sixth graders. So Miko, if you want to advance that. So looking at our elective program, some of the reasons that we believe in supporting electives, offering electives, and giving our students this opportunity is that it really supports our goals around personalized learning and educating the whole child. Our students have the opportunity to engage in self-discovery and personal growth through the choice of their electives. Many of our elective offerings offer students beginning exploratory opportunities, but they also have the opportunity to stay with some electives and move into advanced courses. The electives offer students the chance to engage with a diverse set of skills. It offers a well-rounded education. It complements the core subjects with broader perspectives, offers opportunities for cross-curricular collaboration between the elective program and the core subjects. It also helps students identify their future interests. There's many of our elective offerings are aligned with different sort of careers in the future, and it gives them an idea to explore certain areas. The electives are also really fun and engaging environments. Oftentimes it is the student's favorite class of the day where they get to go and participate in their woodshop class or their band class. And it also offers the opportunity for our students who do need an intervention class or an academic support class to also be engaged in an elective environment of their choice, so that we are making sure that every student can have some choice and opportunity to have an elective environment. Miko, go ahead. But we also know, and we've seen from our students, and we've also heard from our teachers, that the sixth grade transition, the fifth to sixth grade transition, that it can be a big shift for some students. The students who are moving from their elementary school, they might be moving from one or two teachers to an environment where now they have three or four teachers, sometimes upwards of 5 or 6 teachers throughout the course of the school day. They are expected to change classes multiple times throughout the school day, to change for PE class every day, to monitor homework and letter grades. And there's just a lot of shifts that occur. It's their first experience moving into a secondary education environment. And we already have multiple support systems in place, things like our web orientation program that provides orientation beginning of the year and follows the students throughout the course of the year. Our student councils focus on incorporating the sixth graders. Our teachers have different scaffolding that they put in place in the beginning of the year, but it still is a really big shift for our sixth graders. And so we've been looking at the sort of idea of implementing a transition class at each of the middle schools. 2 of our middle schools already offer this type of support environment that's embedded into the sixth grade program and have found it to be incredibly successful. And this would be a class for sixth graders that was semester long, which would focus on the items on the slide. It would support our students in setting goal setting, developing relationships, showing empathy, engaging in civil discourse, making responsible decisions, and also just sort of an place where they can understand, learn how to manage their emotions, understand the resources that are available to them at the middle school, how they can communicate with teachers, get help, and sort of a place for them to sort of gain the skill set that a student needs to be successful in a secondary education environment. You probably want to switch. So moving into next school year, we have a set of objectives that we're trying to accomplish. And that is that we would be enrolling all 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in a 7-period day. So when we say enroll them in a 7-period day, this is often you will hear at the school site, they'll say 2 elective classes. But essentially it means that the students are, all of our middle schoolers are attending the school day for the entirety of the day. We want to prioritize student choice for their elective course assignments. And so this is the form the students fill out. If you have a current middle schooler or you have had a middle schooler in the past, you know that the middle schools send the students a course selection sheet where they get to list out their choices for their elective courses each year. And we design our schedule based around the students' choices. We also want to maximize the expertise and credentials of our staff. On our middle school campuses, we have a myriad of credentials represented through our teachers. Teachers who have expertise in many of our elective courses, industrial arts and foreign language, and we want to maximize their credentials. We want those teachers to be teaching in those areas of their expertise. We also want to include a transition class where we teach the students transition skills that are specifically designed to meet the needs of sixth grade students. And we want to make sure that we have a similar student experience at all of our comprehensive middle school sites. So if you attend at CMS or at Miller, Lawson or Kennedy, or at Hyde, that all of our sixth graders have a similar student experience. So in order for us to achieve this, our middle school administrators and their school counselors have been working diligently this fall on some of our sort of must-haves. The first is that all of our sixth graders will have a transition class for one semester or 2 quarters of their sixth grade year. That curriculum that would be taught in that class will be the same at all of our comprehensive middle schools, and it will be a semester long. That semester could be broken up into 2 quarters, but it will be at least half of the year they'll be in a transition class. All of our students in 6th through 8th grade will be on campus for a full 7-period day, which means that our students would not have the option anymore in 7th and 8th grade, which is offered currently at some of our sites, to start school in 2nd period. We would be inviting everyone to campus for the full school day. So just to share with you sort of where we are at in implementing this plan, which is our sort of 6th grade program. We met with the school board on October 17th, and we shared this plan with them. We took questions. And of course, for our school board, this is sort of a continuation of work that we've been doing over the past few years. Currently, the principals are having discussions and planning at their school sites. They're talking about what courses they would offer to their sixth graders and sort of making plans to implement this for the 25-26 school year. The next step, which will be happening really soon, is that the elective selection process, which typically in our school district happens for our incoming 6th through 8th graders, sort of in the spring, in the March timeframe, is going to be moved up to November and December. And so the students will be getting and receiving their elective, their course selection documents, and their parents also will be receiving it earlier in the school year. And that is so that we can really assist in our planning to make sure that we are prioritizing the student choice and also our teachers' credentials so that we can implement it for next school year. And then starting in January, we will be kicking off a committee where we will be developing the curriculum for that transition class that I talked about. Fortunately, we have 2 schools that have a great program already. And so we feel really confident we'll be able to kind of choose the best of the best material from those curriculums and develop something that's really targeted for 6th graders in CUSD that will be really helpful for them transitioning from 5th to 6th grade. And then during all of that time, all of the master scheduling process is happening and students receive their schedules in August before they start school for next school year. So that is our sort of plan to implement some shifts for our incoming 6th graders.
Thank you, Amy.
I have not monitored the chat to see if there are any questions. I don't know if that's.
Haven't seen any in there yet, but if you have a question about electives and you'd like to put it in the chat, please go ahead and do that. I'm not sure if people can raise their hands, but that could be an option too if you see that that's an option.
Yes. Okay. So there's a question about what electives are offered. And so The elective programs, we don't anticipate there to be shifts to the elective programs that currently exist, except for the addition of that transition class for sixth graders. So the electives that will be offered to sixth graders, the middle schools are looking at that right now, and they are determining what classes they have space availability, what classes they're going to be offering to the sixth graders. So that will be listed on the course selection document that students and parents receive. And the second question is just to confirm the elective options will be distributed to current fifth graders in November and December. Yes. You should be receiving some kind of communication probably in the net before Thanksgiving from probably the school principal that shares an update on this information about that the course selection documents are coming to you. And then probably following that, you'll receive communication from your child's school counselor. All of the middle schools, administrative teams have school counselors who take responsibility for course selection, and they will communicate with you what the procedures are for the fifth graders to submit their elective choices. Usually it's some type of Google form or a form that's embedded in ParentsSquare where you just go in and you make your top 5 choices or top 2 choices of the elective classes that your child is interested in enrolling in. Will the transition class for sixth graders be offered to all the sixth grade students for the first semester or both semesters? It might be both semesters. And that's just the needs of the master schedule, that it's likely that at most middle schools, the transition class is either first semester or second semester. And it is our goal in the development of the curriculum for that course to make sure that there is nothing that is a student must have it at the beginning of the school year in order to be successful. But the sort of tasks and content that's covered in there would be beneficial to them either semester that they take it. Okay, here's a question about some of the electives that are offered. So I can't give you all of the elective courses immediately, like right now, because the schools are still working on what their offerings will be for next year. But those will be available on, most of the schools have their electives offered on the website. And then the last question, to confirm, it sounds like sixth graders currently do not have an option to take any electives. And next year they'll get to choose one in addition to the mandatory transition class. Currently, our sixth graders do have the choice of one elective. But at all of our schools, with the exception of Cupertino Middle School, the students do not start school in sixth grade until second period. So they only have one course that is an elective class. So starting next year, they will be enrolled for the full 7-period day. So they will get their current choice of an elective, and then they'll also get another choice. So they'll have 2 options for elective classes. So they will be increasing by 1 elective. Looks like all the questions, I think.
Thank you, Amy.
Sure.
We look forward to updating you, parents, on next steps as we go along. Thank you very much. All right, and moving on to our final item for this meeting is just a reminder of our meeting calendar. The next meeting we have scheduled is a DELAC meeting. So that's focused on parents of English learners on January 21st. That will be led by Sarah Brown. Everyone's welcome to attend, but the agenda items are specifically related to our requirements for consulting with parents of English learners. So that'll be January 21st. And then because it is getting into holiday season and lots of things going on, we don't have meetings in December. So that means our next PAC DELAC meeting will be February 25th. And by then, we're going to be starting to talk about the next school year and beginning to gather input and information about district focus areas and our LCAP going into the next school year. So that's always the focus from February on through spring. So we look forward to seeing everybody at those upcoming meetings. We're done a little early today. Thank you so much, everyone, for setting aside this time on your calendar, and happy Thanksgiving almost.